Gemini is Google's latest version of generative models. It's powerful, responsive. In this video, I will guide you through the process of integrating the Gemini API with Discord. This will enable you to interact with Gemini directly within Discord, using both image and text inputs. Now, let's dive into this exciting journey of building. There are two prerequisites. First, you need to install node.js, which will be used as the programming language for this project. Second, you need to install VS Code, which will be used to manage files and edit codes. There are two steps of building such a bot. Firstly, building a Discord bot, and secondly, crafting some codes that will bring this bot to life. Let's start by constructing a Discord bot. To do this, you will need a Discord account. If you don't already have one, you can sign up for a free account with ease. I assume all of you have already had one, so now let's direct to Discord API platform. Okay, here we are at Discord API platform. First, click Application. This will bring us to Application Creating page. On the right above, New an application. Give it a name. Here I just call it Gemini, because I'm going to empower the bot with Gemini API. Check Agreement, then Create. So now we are creating a new application called Gemini. Let's initialize the basic information of this application. First, upload an image as Gemini's icon. Then give a brief description of it. An AI bot driven by Google's Gemini API. Save changes. Now this application has been built up. Let's enter into the application and make some specific configurations. On the left side bar, click Bot. Here you can get the bot token, which will be used in codes to identify your bot Gemini, so save the token in a secure place. We will use it later. Next, let's enable some authorization for Gemini. First, we need to enable public bot, so it can be added by anyone. Then let's enable message content intent, which will allow our bot to receive and send messages. Let's save changes. Now this bot has been well configured. Next step, let's go to OAuth and URL generator. We can generate invitation link of the bot here. First, let's give it some scopes. It's a bot, and I also want to enable it to use application commands. Then scroll down to Permissions, choose Administrator. Then at the bottom of the page, I could get the invitation link. Let's copy this URL and open in a new tab. Okay, now you can invite Gemini into your Discord server. Choose one of your servers that you want Gemini to be added. Here I just leave it AI design. Continue. Gemini will be added as an administrator. Authorize. Every time in this step, Discord will question whether I am a human being. Okay, now it seems that I have invited Gemini to AI design, so let me switch to my Discord to verify it. It's in my AI design server. Here in General channel, I can see Gemini has been added successfully. And on the right, I can also see Gemini as a group member. But for the time being, Gemini is not alive. It cannot respond to our messages. So next step, that's code to make it alive. First, create a directory for this Gemini bot project. I name it Discord bot Gemini. Then use VS Code to open this folder. So here I am in the Discord bot Gemini project. Make it large. Now let's initialize a node.js project. Open terminal. Here, let's type in npm init-y. This command will create a node.js project. Next step, we need to install some packages that will be used in this project. Here I am going to use Google's Gemini API, Discord API, and .env. First, let's refer to the documentation of Google's Gemini API to have a general understanding of it. Back to browser. Under Node.js, you can see some prerequisites. Node.js version should be about 18. Also, you need npm installed. Then, how to set up your project. You need to set up your API key. You should install Gemini's SDK package. So let's copy this command and install the package. Back to VS Code. Paste the command here. Besides Google's generative AI, we also need to install Discord.js, which will be used to control Discord bot. .env, which will be used to manage environment variables. And at last, let's install nodemon to monitor file changes and automatically restart server. Click Enter. It will require some time to install all above dependencies. Okay, now in package file, we can see we have installed Google Generative AI, Discord.js, .env, and nodemon. Then, let's modify scripts to include a nodemon command. Start nodemon index.js. After this, we can start our application using npm start, and nodemon will be used to run our app. Now let's create an index.js file, which is our main program file. First, let's import all required packages here. So import .env. Then import Discord.js module. We need client to create a Discord client. We also need gateway intent bits to enable some permissions. Then import channel type. If you want your bot to work in direct message, you should also import partials. Now let's create a Discord client. Define its intents and partials. These four intents will enable the bot receive and send message in both channel and direct message. Next step, let's specify partials, which are used to handle partial data structures. If you don't specify partials, the bot will not work in direct message. Okay, till now we have initialized a Discord bot client. Next step, we need to log in Discord bot, so the client can connect to the bot Gemini we have created before. Here, we need to pass an argument, the Discord token. So let's create a .env file to save this Discord token. Set the value of Discord token here. Also, let's store the API key of Gemini here. Where to find the Discord token? If you remember, I have mentioned it before. Back to our browser, let's direct to Discord. In Gemini application, here in bot, you can get the token. Copy the token. Back to VS Code and paste it here. Also, we need to get Gemini API key, so back to browser. In Gemini API's documentation, navigate to node.js. You can see Get an API key in the page. Open this new page, you can create a new API key or copy existing API key. So copy the key and paste it in .env. Always keep in mind, keep your token and key in secret. So now after setting up .env file, back to index. Let's continue building. Now I want to make the bot alive. So create an event listener to confirm that the Discord bot has been logged in. Save the file and run the project. So clear the terminal. Let's type in npm start. This will start our server. Here in terminal, you can see you have already logged in as Gemini. So let's back to Discord to verify whether the bot is alive. In the group list, now you can see it's online. But now Gemini won't respond to any of our messages. I want it to be interactive, so let's continue building. Here, let's create another event listener to monitor messages received. I want to separate Gemini's reaction between in-channel and indirect message, so let's add some conditions. If the message is received in direct message, the bot will reply, "Hey there, how can I help you?" If the message is received in channel, I also want it to reply to us, "Hey there, how can I help you?" But this time, I want its response including mention to a specific user, as there are so many users in a channel. So let's use backticks to add mention in response. But here we need to get the user first. So let's get user ID from message author. Now pass the user ID to the response. Okay, now this bot will respond both in direct message and channels. Let's save it. The node will help us restart the server automatically. So back to Discord. Let's try it out. Type in hello. Oh no, disaster. Back to VS Code and stop the server. You can see Gemini replied to my message, and then it replied to its own message. It replies to every message it received. But I want Gemini only reply to human message, so let's fix it. In Event Listener, if the message author is a bot, Gemini will exit the function directly. Save it and start our server again. npm start. Now Gemini has been logged in. Back to Discord and have a try again. Say hi to Gemini. Now we can see Gemini only reply to human message. This is dialog in channel. I also want to test it in direct message. So let's send hello in direct message. Then we got a response. So Gemini also works in direct message. Now everyone can talk to this Gemini bot. I want to add some verifications so that only authorized users and channels can use Gemini bot. Back to VS Code. First, let's define authorized users and authorized channels. Then give the two variables some initial values. Back to this code. Retrieve the channel ID from Geno. Right-click. And here copy channel ID. Give it to authorized channels. So now the general channel is authorized. I also want to authorize the user clear. So let's copy this user ID and paste it in VS Code. Now we have authorized one user and one channel. If you have many users and channels to authorize, just create a list to manage authorization. Let's add authorization in conditions. So back to event listener. In direct message, only authorized users can get response from Gemini. In channel, only authorized channels can get response from Gemini. Save and restart. Now we can test in Discord. Now we are in general, the authorized channel. Let's leave it a message where we get response from Gemini. Now let's switch to experiment channel. Say hello to it. This time Gemini does not reply to me anymore. So the authorization control works. Now the Gemini in general channel replies to every human message in this channel. Next, I want Gemini only respond to users who mention it. So let's add some more control in codes. In channel, let's add a condition. If the bot is not mentioned, return directly. Otherwise, generate a response. Move the response code here. Save the code. Switch to Discord. Now the bot should only reply to users who mention it. Type in something, good morning. The Gemini has no reaction. But when I mention it, this time it replies to me. So it works. At present, the bot is alive and could reply to users. But now it could only answer, "Hey there, how can I help you?" It's stupid. So next step, I'm going to enable the bot to generate response through Gemini's API, so it can answer questions wisely. Let's back to VS Code and continue building. Now generate response from Gemini's API. Here I am going to create a new file to work with Gemini's API especially. Let's give it a name, gemini.js. In Google Generative AI's documentation, under node.js, you could learn how to use Gemini's API. You can see prerequisites, how to set up your API key, and install the SDK package, which we have done before. Next, initialize the generative model. So let's copy the code here and paste it in our code. First, import the SDK package. Then initialize Google Generative AI with API key. If you remember, the key we stored in .env is Gemini API key, so let's modify it and save the change. Then back to documentation. You can find how to generate text from text-only input. First, import package. Then initialize a Google Generative AI instance. The first two steps have been done. Next, the async function is used to generate response from Gemini API. Let's copy it. Back to our code. Paste it here. We need to make some modifications. First, clarify a model. Use Gemini Pro. Then it specifies a prompt, but here in my case, the prompt will be retrieved from Discord message. So let's pass the prompt as an argument and delete the prompt here. Next, we will use generate content function to get answer from API. Then extract eventual output from response. As this function will be exported and used to fetch API output, so we need to return its output. Save changes. This function will be used in index to generate output from Google's API, so let's export it. I want to modify its function name to represent that it's using Gemini Pro model. Give it a name Run Gemini Pro and export it. Now we can use this function in index. First, let's import this Run Gemini Pro function. Then we can use this function to generate response and send the response to users in Discord. Save it. Now we can try it out in Discord. So in direct message, I want to ask it a question. Solve an equation for me. Okay, now we get the answer for the question. It's generated by Google's Gemini API. Back to VS Code, we can see the log in terminal. The Discord bot is using Gemini's API to generate response. Now the API only works in direct message. Let's add it to channel. The response generating code is the same, so let's copy-paste it in channel. Save it. Now it should work in channel as well. Let's have a try. Back to Discord. In general channel, ask the bot a question. What is Docker and how to use it? But this time we cannot get answer from Gemini. Let's back to VS Code to see what's wrong. We can see an error from the message. The message must be 2000 or fewer in length. But this time, the generated result is too long, maybe exceeding 2000. So this code cannot send it out. Now let's fix it. First, I want to wrap all these response codes in a try and catch error block, so we can catch the error when it happens. Now let's make some modifications to response in case the message length exceeds 2000. If we have a very long message, we need to break it down into smaller pieces before we handle it. Each piece should be no more than 2000 characters long. We will put these pieces into a list. Then we will go through the list and show each message piece one after the other. So let's create a new function to split the response. Pass it an argument, the response. First, identify the max message length. It should be 2000. Then, let's create an array to store the message chunks. Next step, let's loop through the response. Divide the message by 2000 and store splitted message pieces in chunks. Finally, not forget to return chunks, which will be sent out in Discord thread one by one. Back to Event Listener in direct messages. We will first need to break up the response into smaller chunks. So let's call split response function here. This function will return an array of response chunks. Next, we will loop through the array to send out each chunk individually. Remember to save this function and update the corresponding code in the channel. After saving again, the Discord bot should be capable of sending out long messages. Let's go ahead and test this out in Discord. I'm going to pose the same question to it. This time, the bot Gemini provides the answer. Perhaps the message length does not exceed 2000 characters, so the response is not split. However, it should still be capable of replying multiple times in the event of a long message, because we have enabled this functionality in the code. The Gemini bot is now capable of generating lengthy messages in both direct messages and channels. Currently, it only responds to text inputs. I would like it to respond to image inputs as well, so let's keep on building. The process is akin to constructing a house. You need to lay the bricks one at a time. So back to Google's API documentation. Scroll down, you can see generate text from text and image input. But this time, you should use Gemini Pro-vision model. Only this model supports multi-inputs. The documentation here shows us example of how to use Gemini Pro-vision model. Back to VS Code. Switch to gemini.js. Let's continue working with Gemini's API. This time we are going to use Gemini Vision Model. Back to API documentation to learn how to use it. First, we need to convert local file information into a Google Generative AI object. Let's copy and paste this part. Next step, we need to create a function to run the model. Identify the Gemini Pro-vision model. Then we define two variables, prompt and image. Afterwards, we generate response from vision model using generate_content function. Finally, extract output from result. So let's copy this code and paste it in VS Code. But we need to make a little modification to return an output. Pass some arguments to this function. First, pass it the prompt, which will be derived from message content. Then we can specify file path and image type. Then that's delete prompt, which will be given from argument. Then modify file path and image type, which will be provided from argument as well. In this demo, to simplify use case, I assumed this code bot only supports explaining one image, so delete the second file. Next step, generating response with generate content function. Then get response from result. Get text from response. Finally, not forget to return text, which will be used in index.js. Now we can export this function. This time I'm going to rename it Run Gemini Vision. Export it. Save the file. It seems that I forgot to import fs package, so at the beginning, let's import fs module. Save the file again. So now this gemini.js module has been completed. Let's import the run Gemini Vision function in index.js, which will be used to generate response from image input. Let's redirect to where we generate response. Now it could only generate output from text input. Let's continue building to enable it to respond to image input. We need to pass 3 arguments to run Gemini Vision: prompt, file path, and image type. So first, let's set up the 3 arguments. Prompt can be got from message content. Then initialize file path and image type. Next, let's implement a decision-making process. If the user uploads an image in the message attachment, we will execute the run Gemini Vision function. Otherwise, we will execute the run gemini-pro function. Hence, if there is an image attachment, we will utilize the vision model to generate a response from the image input. If not, we will directly generate a response using the run gemini-pro function. Back to Gemini Vision. If I want to use run Gemini Vision, I must get file path and image type from the image. But if I upload an image to Discord, image will be stored in Discord server. Gemini only recognizes local file, so we need to download the file from Discord server and store it locally. Then pass the file path and image type to run Gemini Vision function. Here, let's get the first attachment. Then get the URL of the attachment, the type of the attachment, and the name of the file. Next, define a local path where the attachment will be downloaded and stored. Here, I will use path function, so let's import path module at the beginning. I want to save the images downloaded from Discord server in Images folder on the current directory. So in our current directory, let's create a new folder, Images, where the downloaded files will be stored. Next step, let's download the file from Discord server. First, create a writable string for the local file path, which will be used to write the downloaded file. Here we need to import fs module. We also need to download image attachment from Discord server, so import HTTPS module. Back to Gemini Vision. Next, using HTTPS to download the image file from this URL. This line pipes the download string directly into the file string, writing the data to the file as it is received. Then create an event listener. Once the download is finished, close the file string. Use run Gemini Vision function to generate result. Here, all functions should be async. Inside this event listener, define a function to handle the next steps. Wrap the following processing codes in a try and catch error block. Now let's call run Gemini Vision function with the prompt, the local path to the downloaded image and its type. We can get response from run Gemini Vision function. Then the response is split into chunks. At last, each chunk is sent as a reply to user message. The run Gemini Vision is used in channel. Now it should work in channel. Save the file and try it out in Discord. OK, now let's upload an image to Gemini bot, and then ask some questions about the image. Guess where the photo is taken and what's the season. Wait for a moment. Now we get the answer. The picture was taken at Canas Lake. The season is winter. By now, the Gemini could cope with both text input and image input. One more thing to add here is that the Gemini Vision model can only process images below 4 megabytes. So please ensure that the size of the image you upload is within 4 megabytes. Otherwise, Gemini cannot process it and will report an error. Back to VS Code. Now the run Gemini Vision function only works in channel. You could copy the same code and paste it in direct message, but I won't go deeper. I will leave a GitHub link below, so you can clone the repository to your local PC and continue building. Pull request is welcomed. I wish this video could offer you some help to some extent. Thank you all for watching.